for us. You can help us cover our satellite costs with the chip-in on the right side of the page at lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live, and you can bring up whatever you want to. The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. We've also got Skype here. Our Skype username is lrn.fm. Joining you in the studio tonight, you've got Ian.
Jonny Ray.
And Rich Paul.
Don't forget, you can join us online. Go get interactive over at freetalklive.com. And if you are putting a new business together, or maybe you've had a business for a long time, you just need some new business cards, you can get yours through vistaprint.com and get them cheap. 500 business cards starting at just $9.99. And these are cards you can customize the text, the colors, logo, backsides, and more. You can upload your own logo to one of their existing designs, or upload an entire image. That's what I did. I had an actual business card image full on that I uploaded, but it wasn't actually for a business card. It was for a palm card for Derek J's Victimless Crime Spree. So now I have business card size little promo cards for the movie that I produced, thanks to Vistaprint. They're full color, and they look great. So you can go and get your own over at Vistaprint.com. Of course, you can upgrade the quality. You can get a thicker stock, add finish like metallic, spot gloss, or raised print. And if you need more than business cards, they can do that too. Postcards, flyers, banners, apparel, invitations, whatever you need for your home office or home business, Vistaprint can hook you up. It's a great experience, super easy to use their tools. So they've got the little designer on their website where you can literally just upload and create the card right there on the site. Super easy to do and really affordable with our special code. You need to use code FTL to get this deal. 500 business cards starting at just $9.99. It's up to a 50% savings over regular site pricing by using code FTL, like Free Talk Live. That's FTL at Vistaprint.com. We were talking. Go ahead, Rich.
Customizable backsides.
Yeah.
Imagine if they could provide that with online dating.
So here we are. You guys were talking about the Oregon.
I thought we learned a lesson earlier today, gentlemen, about decorum.
Oh,
yeah.
no, we were taught a lesson, but that doesn't mean we learned it.
Well, I'll try not to tell any sex jokes in the State House in the future, but that doesn't mean that we have to have decorum on the radio, Jonny Ray. We can tell sex jokes here. We just can't say really explicit things, because otherwise the FCC will get mad, and then our radio stations could get fined. So there's a certain line that we have to toe here.
Oh, and they find them, not you.
Yeah, sadly.
Oh, that's too bad, because otherwise I'd say let's put on George Carlin's routine about the 7 words and just pay the fine.
$325,000 would be the fine if you got hit with it.
Good Lord.
Per instance, I think.
Great man once said, Ian, they're warming up the hot seat for you over at the FCC.
So you can join us here. The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. There's actually a news story right at the top of our website. I don't know if this inspired you guys to talk about Oregon tonight, but our listeners have submitted, or one of our listeners have submitted, and then others voted on. Listener Your One True King submitting a story about Oregon occupiers saying that they'll reveal their departure date on Friday. The armed occupiers, according to CNN, who took over a federal wildlife refuge in Oregon, will soon reveal their departure date, one of the group's leaders said Tuesday at a press conference. Levoy Finicum said, quote, Friday at 7 we'll be going into town and holding a meeting with the community to explain to the community why we are here and when we'll be leaving. Because you remember earlier they said they were prepared to stay there for years. So what will their actual planned departure be? He didn't say exactly where the meeting would be held in nearby town of Burns. Eamon Bundy, the group leader who usually addresses the media, will attend, he said. The group has occupied the Malheur National Wildlife Refuge for now 11 days to protest federal land policies in southeast Oregon. On Monday, the occupiers used government equipment to uproot and tear down a fence at the request of a local rancher. According to a CNN affiliate, they said that it was part of the group's bigger plan to return federal land to residents of Harney County. The U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service issued a statement Tuesday saying, quote, Removing fences, damaging any refuge property, or unauthorized use of equipment would be additional unlawful actions by the illegal occupiers. Any movement of cattle onto the refuge or other activities that are not specifically authorized by the Fish and Wildlife Service constitutes trespassing. Quote, if they take down the fences, it hurts the refuge, but also destroys the positive conservation impacts reaped from decades of direct collaboration and sweat equity paid by the Harney County communities, ranchers, landowners, partners, and friends, according to Mr. Finicum, I think. He told reporters the fence, or no, I guess it was the bureaucrat. He told the reporters the fence was making the local ranch not profitable and hard to operate. He said that before the Bureau of Land Management installed the fence last year, local ranchers had enjoyed access to the range for many years. So it sounds like the feds are now threatening further criminal charges here. So presuming there are undercover agents in their midst, they will likely be able to identify the people who took the fence down, would be my guess. I mean, because you got to guess that they've got agents that are undercover with these guys at this point.
I would imagine they do.
Because they were inviting people to come join them. It was an open invitation to anyone to come out and support them. So all they got to do is throw on some camo, strap a rifle to their back, and carry American flag with them, and they'll be welcomed with open arms.
Yeah.
Harney County Sheriff Dave Ward says,
it is very strange to have a protest that's carrying the flag of their oppressors. That's bizarre.
Well, I mean, it just shows an incomplete I think an incomplete understanding of what they're actually doing out there.
Yeah, you want me to fly out there and just give those guys an Anarchy 101 class?
Well,
you're almost doing it right.
I heard that they're anti-anarchy.
Well, yeah, they did. Well, they did say, they made the comment that
they're constitutionalists.
That anarchy was the only thing worse than tyranny.
That's something like that, yeah.
It may well be that they were using that word in the second sense, which is chaos, rather than the first sense, which is absence of government.
Well, that's true, and that's the problem with the term anarchy, is that people don't know what it means. They don't.
Yeah. Well, they don't know the various things that it means, because people say anarchy is not chaos. Well, guess what? The second definition of the word anarchy is chaos. The first definition of the word anarchy is the absence of government. So what we should say, although I don't know if it would make a very good soundbite, is that using anarchy to mean chaos and the absence of government in the same sentence is equivocation. It would make lousy memes, though.
Harney County Sheriff Dave Ward said there's been an increase in vandalism, harassment, and intimidation reports since the group took over the wildlife refuge. Some of the occupiers have been able to leave and return to the refuge center, and protest leaders have also called on supporters near and far to come join their cause. The result, according to Ward, the harassment and intimidation of police and civilians, including workers for the Fish and Wildlife Service. Quote, there are continual reports of law enforcement officers and community members being followed home, of people sitting in cars outside of their homes, observing their movements and those of their families, and of people following them and their families as they move around the community. Self-identified militia members approached them in public, said Ward, trying to start a debate about the federal government. And I understand where they're coming from, because some of these guys are of the belief that the sheriff needs to protect them from the federal government. So it would follow that they would, if they're in town and they see a sheriff's officer, go up and give them, a piece of their mind about, hey, you're not doing your job right. You're defending the federal government instead of defending the people who employ you. And, of course, they're seeing that as harassment or whatever.
Well, I don't know. They also said intimidation, and that's a very difficult case to make when the person who's supposedly being intimidated has access to not only a gun, but literally an infinite amount of backup.
And the ability to use it without any real accountability. If a cop wants to pull a gun on somebody and arrest them and trump them up on some charges, they'll almost always get away with it. And further, if the cop wants to actually hurt the person in some way, they'll almost always get away with that too. So yeah.
Well, especially, the thing that they always say about the police brutality victims is he was unarmed, because it's pretty much assumed that if they shoot you and you're armed, it's your fault. And that's something that, I got to say, I was really disappointed that the Second Amendment people didn't come forward about Tamir Rice, whose crime was basically open carrying.
The claim with Tamir is that he was pointing a gun at people, according to some of the calls in that situation. You're talking about the 12-year-old who was shot to death by the police. I don't know we don't know what really happened because the video footage is kind of grainy and it's not exactly the best video, but it does appear that he was going for the gun in his waistband when he was shot. So there's some debate over whether or not, that he was shot legitimately. I think the cops were way too hasty. I think they should not have rolled up on that scene as they did, which was very aggressively. They just rolled up, opened their doors, and shot the kid. It seemed like they didn't even give him a chance to do the right thing. Yeah. The toll-free number here, 855-450-FREE, but others see it differently, and you can share your thoughts on Free Talk Live.
Currency is too important a thing to be left in the hands of government bureaucrats, especially when billions of dollars can be created with the swipe of a pen. Overstock.com supports the cryptocurrency movement because it returns the power of an inflation-proof money to the people where it belongs. Did you know that you can use Bitcoin to pay for anything Overstock.com sells while enjoying free shipping on orders of 0.211 Bitcoin or more? If you support freedom in the cryptocurrency movement, you should support Overstock.com. Are your kids spending too much time online? Are they gaming instead of doing homework? Are they on Facebook instead of sleeping? Turn their internet access on or off when you want for free at webcurfew.com. 100% web-based interface means nothing to download, install, or configure. Web Curfew is free and controls any device using your home network without slowing down your internet. Block all adult web content with the click of a button. Don't let the internet raise your kids. Take back control of how and when your home internet is used for free. Visit webcurfew.com.
The new 4th edition of Healing Our World, The Compassion of Libertarianism, will take your understanding of liberty to a deeper level and has over 1,300 updated references, new cartoons, and a foreword by Dr. Ron Paul. With discounts for multiple book purchases, the 4th edition of Healing Our World is a great gift for the liberals, pragmatists, environmentalists, and Christians in your life who think libertarianism is cold-hearted. Get yours today at healing.freetalklive.com and use promo code FTL for a $5 discount.
The 3 most important things you can do for Free Talk Live are: 1, share 1 episode a week on Facebook or in some other social networking site. 2, buy the things you buy online through shop.freetalklive.com. 3, give $5 a month to the AMP program. It's my firm belief that Free Talk Live's AMP program is the best use of your charitable dollar among liberty-oriented organizations. Support all the organizations you love, but make sure you give $5 a month to AMP at amp.freetalklive.com.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 2 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Keene in the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Darrell W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Tuesday, January 12th, 2016. Silver is trading at $13.90 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,198 per ounce. And according to BitcoinAverage.com, the average price of Bitcoin is $449. Antiwar.com reports in one of the last few steps needed to fully implement their requirements under the P5+1 nuclear deal, the Iranian government has removed the core from the Arak heavy water reactor and filled it with cement, rendering it useless. The Arak reactor was the center of a lot of dispute between Iran and the international community. Objections over Iran's enrichment of uranium for the aging Tehran Research Reactor, TRR, led to the plan for Arak, which was to run on unenriched uranium as an alternative source for medical isotopes. Western nations objected to this as well, however, on the ground that the waste the reactor would produce included plutonium. Though Iran never planned to construct the substantial processing facility to extract this from the waste, and even offered to send all the waste abroad, it remained a sticking point, and ultimately it was agreed that the West would provide Iran with an alternative configuration at Arak, which would be more acceptable. Iran's Atomic Energy Agency says they believe they will have fully implemented the P5+1 deal within the next 7 days, and President Rouhani expressed hope that sanctions relief would quickly follow as the deal obliges. The Rouhani government has been scrambling to finish the deal in hopes of getting sanctions relief in place before next month's elections. For nearly 40 years, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has been a trusted source for buying and selling precious metals like gold and silver. They also take Bitcoin for precious metal purchases and have permanently removed the minimum purchase amount for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Roberts & Roberts today for knowledgeable advice on buying and selling precious metals and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 800-874-9760 or visit online at rrbi.co. UPI reports White House Chief of Staff Dennis McDonough said on Sunday that President Barack Obama will close the prison at Guantanamo Bay before he leaves office. Closing down Guantanamo Bay was a promise Obama made when he first took office 7 years ago. Obama has argued that the detention center has outlived its usefulness and is too costly to maintain. McDonough told Fox News, "Let me be clear, the president has said from the beginning of his administration that he will close Gitmo because it's bad for our national security and because it's too costly, $4 million per year per detainee. That's a travesty. He feels an obligation to his successor to close that, and that's why we're going to do it." McDonough said Obama will present a plan to Congress and work with Congress, and then will make some final determination. When he was asked by Fox News Sunday host Chris Wallace if Obama planned to close down the facility by using executive orders, McDonough said, "I'm not an if-when guy. I said we're going to close it. He just said he's going to present a plan to Congress to do that." Obama previously said he would wait until Congress has definitely said no to a plan to close down Guantanamo Bay before he would make any decision on executive orders. The Daily Decrypt is a Monday through Friday newscast about all the best news in cryptocurrencies and peer-to-peer networks. Know what's hot in the world of digital money, borderless trade, and cutting-edge communications. Available on YouTube, SoundCloud, and Facebook video. The Daily Decrypt is the news of the future. Reuters reports a Texas judge on Monday slashed the bond for a mother charged with helping her teenage son flee to Mexico while he was on probation for killing 4 people in a drunk driving crash. Lawyers for Tanya Couch said she could not afford the bail set at $1 million and argued it was excessively high for a person charged with a third-degree felony. If convicted, she faces up to 10 years in prison for the case where critics have accused the family of using its wealth to thwart justice, and the teen was derided for using a defense of affluenza. A psychiatrist testifying on his behalf at the 2013 trial in juvenile court contended his family's wealth had left him so spoiled that it impaired his judgment to tell right from wrong. On Monday, Judge Wayne Salvant cut Tanya Couch's bond to $75,000 and imposed conditions on a release on bond that include being placed on an electronic monitor, drug tested, and reporting weekly to authorities. In arguing that the bail should remain at $1 million, Tarrant County Assistant District Attorney Kevin Rousseau told reporters after the hearing there was a possibility she would run again. This has been FPP Radio News. Online at fppradio.com.
Over 60% of employers are now checking online amateur pornography of potential job candidates. Is it fair to base hiring decisions on an applicant's online porn?
Now, this is not fair at all. For instance, if there's a red tube video of my girlfriend slapping me and choking me and riding me, that shouldn't be an indication that I'm going to lack leadership in a work situation.
Yeah, but Duncan, it's going to be hard to convince an employer who's masturbating to that video otherwise.
Exactly. My potential employer might see all those videos of my husband tying me up and having his way with me, and then they're going to think that I'm not going to be assertive enough for the job.
I mean, if you don't want to jeopardize the content of your porn, you can always shoot from the eyes down.
Oh, but that's not the same. If you cover the eyes, that's where the innocence is.
So am I supposed to leave an orgy just because someone shows up with a camera?
No one's saying you should leave an orgy.
Right. So
it's more complicated.
So now, if I go to a party, I wear something like this in case that situation comes up again.
I like that. I actually shoot my porn in sepia tone and make it look old-timey, so if people see it, they'll think it's my grandfather and not me.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
Free Talk Live, join us here on the radio waves. The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. And here in the studio tonight, you've got me, Ian.
Me, Johnny Ray.
And Rich Paul.
And don't forget, you can join us via Skype. Our Skype username is lrn.fm. So feel free to connect to us that way. And you can also join us here any old time you want, toll free at 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. We were talking about the Oregon occupiers. And I'm glad to see the media, at least in this case CNN, using the term occupiers. Because I think they have a lot in common with the Occupy Wall Street movement.
They should really call it, Occupy Bird Sanctuary.
Yeah,
or
Occupy
something.
Malheur Federal Wildlife Reserve. But the key difference being they're armed, and the occupiers were not armed.
Which probably explains some of the absence of tear gas going on out there. Everybody's, why aren't they killing them? Why aren't they tear gassing them? Well, because they've got guns. And, I can't stress it enough. If you're going to protest in a place where you can legally carry a weapon, especially open carry a weapon, please do, because cops don't like to tear gas armed crowds. They're not the people that you want to enrage and terrify.
If you want to join us here, you can certainly do that. There's a little bit more from the story over at CNN.com. It's actually been a while since we've covered it here on Free Talk Live, so I'm glad you guys brought it up here tonight in the beginning of the show. Johnny Ray?
Ian, according to Will Grigg, among other things, the Bundys originally resolved to stay there at the refuge until the federal government relinquished control over the land to the county, which I wasn't aware of that little bit.
That's not going to happen. So they're going to be staying there for, as they promised, years. But now they're going to be having a press conference on Friday, apparently, where they're going to be announcing the date that they're planning on leaving the refuge. Presuming the federal government doesn't force them to leave or burn them out or, kill them or whatever beforehand, they will be setting some sort of a deadline, some kind of a date.
Earlier in the first segment of the show, I mentioned Will Grigg because he's sort of a thought curator for me, or a thought. I love the guy. He's a fantastic writer.
Yeah.
He's a good podcaster. And he's got an article about this situation. It was written, give me a date, Wednesday.
Oh, okay.
Last week, I guess. And he gives as only he can do, he's gone back to the history of Harney County and told the story of how the Paiute Indians were kicked off the reservation there. They were starved out.
By the government?
Yeah, the government had set aside land for migrant Indians, and then some other folks wanted to graze their land. Wanted to graze their cattle on the same land. And the cattle were killing the roots that were the crop that the Paiutes and maybe Shoshone Indians, whatever other Indians lived on the reservation, it's what they lived on. So the Indians, the Paiutes, and some others engaged in the Bannock War. And there's a fantastic quote here. I'm going to end with this. A quote from an American general. General Crook, the U.S. Army's most accomplished Indian fighter, candidly admitted that the Bannock War was provoked by the government he had served with such distinction. It cannot be expected that they will stay on reservations where there is no possible way to get food and see their wives and children starve and die around them. Crook wrote of the Paiutes and Shoshones, "We have taken their land, deprived them of every means of living. Our Indian policy has resolved itself into a question of warpath or starvation. And merely being human, many of them will choose the former alternative, where death shall be at least glorious." So the story about this land is just, it's incredible.
It's a long history of stealing and violence and coercion, right?
Yeah, land is land. A man will do anything for land because they're not making any more.
Well,
I stole that from Mark Twain.
That was something.
Go ahead.
That was something that even Machiavelli wrote in The Prince. He says, "Don't ever take people's land; they will never forgive you." And I wish that people here and in Israel and in other places had really paid attention to that. because it seems to be playing out that way.
There's so much land. I love the idea of land. I have no land of my own, but I'd love to have some.
You've been planning to get some of your own land at some point.
Yeah,
it's in your long-term.
I think I could afford it now, but I don't know the first thing about buying land. So yeah, it's
call Mark Warden, Porcupine Real Estate.
Oh, great idea.
There you go.
That's I'm going to take care of that, Ian. Thank you so much. But there's so much. When you take the globe as a whole, there's so much land for anybody and everybody. If you split everybody up and scatter them across the globe, it would take days to reach each other. But we're all, sometimes by choice, sometimes not by choice, we're all crammed into these tiny spaces where we must fight each other like animals, Rich.
Yeah, well, it's interesting. Henry George, who was an economist, I don't agree with him on everything, but he made the argument that a lot of the value of your land comes from your neighbors, and that basically land at the edges of society, land going out into rural areas, probably in a healthy society would not be worth defending. So there would always be a certain amount of land that would be available for homesteading.
There certainly would be if we get the federal government out of the picture. I mean, what do they own? 2/3 of the West or something like that?
Well, there's basically, if you look
I
at
think
the
it's a greater
50% line,
East and West,
they own, if you combined all of their land together, then they would own all of the land west of, like, the western border of Colorado, I believe.
That sounds believable.
Yeah, it's just an incredible amount of land. Now, I don't know how much of that would probably include their land in Alaska, which I think is almost all of it. And Alaska is really huge.
Well, have you seen the map online where it shows you each state and then it shows a little version of that state inside the state? So they have like a darker version of the state inside the state. That shows you shows you the percentage of the land in that state that's owned by the federal government. And when you look on the western portion of the United States, they own huge chunks of the western states. The eastern states, not as much. They don't have as large of swaths of land there, but
they've got vast tracts of land.
But like the majority of all of those western states, at the last time I glanced at the map, seemed to be owned by the federal government. So I think it's something like 2/3 of the entire West.
Yeah, it's certainly an amazing amount of land. And when you think about it, people could be living on there.
Yeah.
How can you have homelessness and at the same time have your government say, oh yeah, well, you could live on this land, but nah, we're just going to take it and not let you?
How about the refugees, right? You know, people are freaking out about refugees coming into the United States. If the government wanted to, they could just say, here, you can have this plot of land out in wherever in the West, and then they could have all kinds of land and start their own little shanty town or whatever.
Yeah, and that, I don't know. Have you seen what's going on in Cologne?
What, with Germany?
Yeah, the New Year's Eve mass sexual assaults that were going on.
You mean the 30 people that was made out to be like 1,000 people? That one?
There's 500 charges or 500 claims.
There are 500 criminal complaints that have been made about that night in Cologne. Maybe nationally. There were problems in a couple other cities, and there's now another city. Apparently in Helsinki, there was something earlier that they covered up, and it's just coming to light now.
This is Free Talk Live, 855-450 free.
Think you're fat? You might just be bloated. Find out by calling now for a free trial of New Biotics, the new breakthrough that flattens bloated bellies fast. For a free trial, call 1-800-965-1170.
I used to be plagued by potbelly and constant bloating. After taking New Biotics, my belly flattened and continues to get flatter. My sense of bloating and discomfort is gone.
If you've got a big belly, you might not be fat. You might just be bloated. New Biotics is scientifically formulated with natural ingredients to flatten bloated bellies fast by cleansing pounds of rotting food and toxic sludge from your body. It even combats periodic heartburn and acid reflux. So just think how much better you'll look and feel. Think you might be bloated? Call now for a free trial of New Biotics and see how much flatter it makes your belly. You might be surprised. But hurry, call now for details while these free trials last. 1-800-965-1170. That's 1-800-965-1170. 1-800-965-1170.
Hello?
Congratulations.
For what?
For losing all that weight. How'd you do it so fast?
ASAP.
ASAP what? What's that mean?
Are you ready to get as skinny as possible, as soon as possible, as simple as possible, and as sexy as possible?
I'm listening.
Then get with the ASAP program. It's real and it works. No smooth talk, no slick advertising, and no exaggerated claims of success.
I've got to know more.
Welcome to ASAP, as slim as possible. Whether you have 10, 20, or 50 pounds to lose, ASAP is your weight loss answer. ASAP targets the abnormal fat reserves and makes them available to be burned as fuel and contains no caffeine or hormones. Order ASAP at wholesale prices or join the team to share the business with others. Go to GCNteam.com or call 855-GCN-MALL. That's 855-426-6255. GCNteam.com or 855-426-6255. Lose weight and look great with ASAP, as slim as possible.
A congressman recently revealed that legislation totaling 2,900 pages and involving more than $1 trillion was available to members of Congress for less than 48 hours to study and consider. That's over 60 pages of legislation per hour. Do you think anyone read the entire bill? I'm Jim Babka with DownsizeDC.org. Consider a proposal buried in a 3,200-page, $388 billion bill, which would have empowered committee chairmen or their agents to examine Americans' tax returns. When this horrible provision came to light, no one claimed to know how it got into the bill. One congressman questioned said, "I didn't write it, I didn't approve it, I wasn't even consulted." If your attorney represented you this way, he might be disbarred. But this is how Congress represents you every day. That's why DownsizeDC.org has created the Read the Bills Act. You can force Congress to read their bills before they pass them at DownsizeDC.org.
You can listen to Free Talk Live on the radio, podcast, satellite, webcam, and our live streams. But did you know you can listen to Free Talk Live from any phone, anywhere? Add this number to your phone, 213-493-0308. It's a long-distance call, so make sure you're familiar with your phone's calling plan. The listen lines are airing the latest episode of Free Talk Live 24 hours a day, including our live shows. Call 213-493-0308. That's 213-493-0308.
As a pioneer of the e-commerce movement, Overstock.com is proud to be the first major retailer to accept Bitcoin. Overstock was the first because Patrick Byrne, Overstock's CEO and founder, firmly believes in personal freedom and cryptocurrency. Over the past 16 years, Overstock has furnished over 18 million homes with a diverse line of products to suit everyone's unique styles and preferences. Support Overstock and freedom of choice while enjoying free shipping on orders of 0.211 Bitcoin or more.
Do you love Twitter? Make sure you favorite the LRN.FM Twitter account so you can receive our tweets at twitter.lrn.fm. That's twitter.lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live. We're inviting you to join us here. The toll-free number, 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. Joining you in the studio, it's Ian.
Johnny Ray.
Rich Paul.
Don't forget, you can join us on Skype as well. The Skype username is LRN.FM. You can call in to bring up whatever happens to be on your mind. And if you're doing online shopping, get it done through shop.freetalklive.com. It's the same great Amazon experience that you're used to. You're just entering through our affiliate links, and there are 3 of them there. There's Amazon UK, Amazon Canada, and Amazon US. You just click in, go to the right Amazon for you, and Free Talk Live will get a portion of the purchase price. That's simple. Same great prices, same huge selection, shipping deals, all of it that you're used to. It's just that they cut a portion of their profits to us. When you go to shop.freetalklive.com. We can come back and talk more about the Germany situation, Johnny Ray, that you brought up a few moments ago about the alleged sexual assaults and other assaults that were going on there.
Rich
did
brought
Johnny
it up.
Ray bring?
Oh, okay. I'm sorry, you brought it up. One of you guys did, and
but
it wasn't me.
I I'd like
just
to talk
can't
about
tell
it
those
too.
co-hosts apart.
Borders is border. You can always talk about borders on one of these libertarian shows.
We'll get back into it, but we've got Max on the line in Massachusetts. Max, you're on Free Talk Live with Ian, Johnny Ray, and Rich.
Hi, guys. I just wanted to touch on something you hit at the end of the show yesterday.
Sure.
It was mentioned that you guys feel that socialists are easier to bring to liberty, and I vehemently disagree with that.
Was this your call yesterday, too? Were you the same guy who called about this yesterday?
No.
Okay.
Okay.
But, Rich, you had said that at the end of the show last night, and we didn't really have a chance to expound on that.
Yeah, and let me circumcise that statement and say that was a statement that I made. Ian didn't necessarily sign. Nobody else necessarily signed off on.
I'm with you on it, though, Rich. So, Johnny Ray, what do you think on this?
I think they're equally as bad. They both suffer the same fatal flaw of thinking that even though a little freedom might be good, ultimately it's got to be tempered. Your freedom has got to be tempered with some common sense. And somebody's got to be around to kick butt and make sure that what needs to be done because people won't do it themselves.
All right, so let's hear why Max thinks it's why it's not true. And then I'd like Rich to explain why he believes that it is true that socialists are easier to convert to liberty than, say, like a conservative. Go ahead, Max.
Well, I would first, point to Ron Paul, who's converted more than basically anybody, and on obviously not a socialist. I think we can all agree on that. Yes.
Sure, but he's converted people from the left, Ron Paul.
Right, and how did he do that? He did that not by focusing on social issues. What he said is, look, I care about the economic issues, and I care about getting government out.
Ron Paul talked on the stage in the Republican debate, I believe in 2012 or 2011, whenever that debate happened. But he spoke on the stage and said he wanted to legalize heroin. I mean, obviously, he was taking liberty positions on social issues.
He didn't take that position from the point of view of like. You should be able to do with whatever you want with your body, as much as the government shouldn't tell you what to put in your body. It's a distinct difference, although it is nuanced.
Okay.
He's gone on record before as saying, like, I don't approve of people smoking pot personally, but I wouldn't use the means of government to stop them. And that, I feel, is a much stronger message than saying, hey, you guys like your social freedoms. Hey, come over here and learn about economics. It's easier to start from economics and then work your way there.
I don't know. In my experience, and I've done a lot of thinking about development economics, and maybe it's just the way that I came over, because I was always
you were
libertarian.
A lefty originally, right?
I was a lefty, but I was always libertarian on social issues, on guns, on things like that. But on economics, I was a leftist because, I had pretty much just internalized the messages that I'd gotten from public school teachers about what would happen if the economy was free, or what I had inferred about that from all these stories of the doom and gloom caused by the private market and how government saved the day, which is how history is taught in the public schools. And once I started actually learning economics, I realized that the impact of a free market would actually be, I believe, a reduction in poverty rather than an increase in poverty. And that's important to me because nobody, even if you can convince them that it is morally superior to have a free market, if people believe that they cannot survive in a free market, then they will fight against the free market, even if they're convinced that it's somehow morally superior. Nobody is going,
because it doesn't seem pragmatic, right?
Well, exactly. Nobody is going to enter in. Very few people will enter into a suicide pact with you, or even a pact where they think you might live, but they will not. We have. and I think there's a lot of fertile ground. It may well be that the ground on the right is just more picked over, in that we've had Ayn Rand out there putting things in a way that a right-wing person would say, yeah, right on, and a left-wing person might well be horrified.
Well, I find... Oh, sorry.
Please, go ahead.
I find that Murray Rothbard tends to get a lot of left-wing people on his side, and he was the guy that wrote right-wing populism and lauded David Duke. But leftists,
I think everybody has their own
stuff and understand the economics of it, and they understand the hands-off approach, which I think is we should just stay grounded in our principles, shouldn't we? Instead of trying to pander ourselves to
no
one
one's
side or the
pandering.
other.
I don't think anyone's pandering. I think what Rich was saying yesterday is that he finds it easier to persuade people on the left to join the liberty movement and to come to the ideas of liberty. That was what you were saying, that comparing leftists and righties, that you find it easier to persuade someone on the left.
And it may just be easier for me. And in terms of what you're saying about pandering, I understand the concern, but they used to say that all roads lead to Rome. So when I look at the other personalities, if you will, in the libertarian movement who might put out the message differently than I do, I assume that they're reaching an audience that I couldn't reach. And when I put out the message a little differently, I'm hoping that I'm going to reach an audience that other people won't reach. So I'm not necessarily saying everybody should focus only on the left. I'm just saying that this is something that I've found productive. But then I'm an old deadhead. I have a lot in common with them in terms of values, and I can explain to them why those values would be better satisfied by a free market than by a monopoly provider of goods.
You're not pandering. You're using language and terminology that they understand to persuade.
If I was speaking to Japanese people, I would be speaking in Japanese because, that's the language they understand.
Max, thanks for your call tonight. Appreciate hearing from you. So if you're good with conservatives, keep working them. It's Free Talk Live.
So you've got to take a state construction license exam or certification. Can't decide on what books or what chapters to study? Discover right now how you can eliminate unnecessary books and wasted study time. At contractorexam.com, our study materials zero in on state-required test topics in an effective, multiple-choice format. So whether you're a plumber, electrician, general contractor, or other construction-related trade, contractorexam.com will help get you prepared. Visit us at www.contractorexam.com today.
Hey guys, Pat Matthews here to tell you about the newest and best way to sell products online. It's buysellmakeoffer.com. Sell your stuff online, like old golf clubs, sports equipment, tools, and yes, even your car. Forget about the way the other guys have taken more than their fair share from you when these sales were finalized. Buysellmakeoffer.com will never charge you item fees. Just go to the website now and sign up so you can load all your stuff to sell. This is not an auction site. Just use our resources along with Skype and videos to sell your items quickly. Buysellmakeoffer.com. Also, we're giving you 30 days free on us.
Why did you move to the Shire?
I moved here to the Shire because there's other people around who take liberty just as seriously as I do.
I moved to the Shire because I saw videos of people challenging authority and thought that I could get support myself. It called to me, like, do this right now.
I wanted to be around people like me who got it, and once I got here, I knew there was nowhere else that I wanted to be.
I've always wanted to change the world, so I moved to the Shire to join people who were actually working towards doing the same thing.
The people here are awesome, loving, and positive. It was for the adventure and for the feeling of something important is happening here, and I just wanted to come to sort of be part of that.
Visit ShireSociety.com to read and sign the Shire Society Declaration and learn the reasons why, if you love liberty, you should immigrate to the Shire. Plus, add yourself to the Shire map at ShireSociety.com. That's ShireSociety.com.
You can control your health care with Liberty Health Share.
Liberty Health Share is like-minded people coming together to share medical costs, which saves money.
You don't even have to pay for procedures that violate your conscience.
Because we all share the same values.
Join the movement of people who share in medical costs and change the way you pay for your health care forever.
Go to libertyhealthshare.org to find out more.
Liberty Health Share.
Together, we're changing health care for good. libertyhealthshare.org.
Did you know that you can listen to and watch Free Talk Live during our live show 7 days a week from 7 to 10 p.m. Eastern via our studio cam at cam.freetalklive.com? Not only that, but you can also chat with other listeners at the same time. Do I need to mention that both the studio cam and chat room are totally free? Outside of Free Talk Live's live hours, you won't see a cam feed, but will hear audio from the Liberty Radio Network. So listen, watch, and chat all free at cam.freetalklive.com. That's cam.freetalklive.com.
So the protection of life, liberty, and property is what the Free State Project is all about. But it's an effort to move 20,000 people who understand.
It's about demonstrating to the entire country
that, yeah, we can have a free market, a truly free market.
Making it just a freer, great place to live.
It's the world's largest voluntarist libertarian community, and it's only getting bigger.
That's amazing, to be able to move to a place where other people passionately believe in being free and independent.
What the Free State Project is managing to do, though, is to put their money where their mouth is. It's physically getting up across the country and saying, let's go someplace and let's demonstrate the power of these ideas. There's a lot of kind of philosophy that surrounds liberty. There's a lot of thinking about it and talking about it. But here in New Hampshire, people are doing it.
101 Reasons Liberty Lives in New Hampshire, a documentary by Free State Project Early Movers. Watch it free at 101reasonsfilm.com. 101reasonsfilm.com.
Listen to LRN.FM on any phone, anytime. 213-493-0309. That's 213-493-0309.
This is Free Talk Live. Join us here on the radio waves. Our toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. And in the studio tonight, it's Ian.
Johnny Ray.
And Rich Paul.
You know what? I've done some reaching out to a lot of people over time, and I got to agree with you, Rich. I have found that leftists are easier to reach with the ideas of liberty than people who are on the right. And I have a different history from you. You came from the left. I came kind of from the right. My parents were Republicans, and so I grew up in a Republican household. But you know, as I became a libertarian and came on board with the ideas of liberty, I became able to better communicate the ideas to people on the left. It's easier, in my opinion, to talk to somebody who, in my experience with people on the left, is that they do want people to be taken care of. They want to help people in need, and that's sort of the basis of their viewpoint. They just see the government as the way to help those people. That's the sort of the way that it's always been done, and so that's the way that they've embraced to do it. They want to see more government because they believe that that works. They believe that, you know, it may not be perfect, but that's the system that we have, and so they'd rather spend government money not on wars, many of them, but instead on welfare programs. This is not an uncommon view among some on the left. I remember when I was of college age, I knew some kids at a really leftist college and had the opportunity to talk to a lot of them. This was around the year 2000 when Harry Brown was running for the Libertarian Party presidential campaign. He was their presidential candidate. And a lot of course, the college students were Green Party members. And I had lots of interesting conversations with them. And this is when I kind of really started to, I think, get good at communicating the ideas of liberty to people who were on the left. And I got people who had been planning to vote Green Party to flip, and they, at least to me, I mean, maybe they were lying, but to me, they committed that they were going to vote for Harry Brown, the Libertarian Party. And you know, I was able to, even in my relatively early days of promoting the ideas of liberty, flip people on the left over to the libertarian movement. And that's because, as you pointed out, Rich, libertarians can explain how to be compassionate without stealing other people's money. So it's actually maximum compassion with the libertarian viewpoint rather than not so compassion where you have to steal money first with the government in order to then give it to other people. What were you going to say, Johnny?
I was going to say that I do not have a history of attempting to persuade people like you do, Ian. I've always been more the type to just seek out the people who already pretty much, when it comes to high-minded political ideals, I'm just going to find someone who agrees with me already.
Well, that's important too.
But having said that, I'm gonna backtrack a little bit on my "a pox on both their houses" statement from before, and tell you I must confess I've got a lot of sympathy for you guys' position.
You feel sorry for us?
No.
You mean empathy?
No. I mean sympathy. I mean that I feel I can agree with what you're saying. I find myself wanting to agree with you.
Okay.
And it's because Republicans and conservatives, they have a message of capitalism and markets, but they're completely against free markets and therefore crony capitalism. And so that just makes them just uncredible actors in my mind, and just that they've demonstrated that they're willing to look at a lie and swallow it whole. And the leftists I look at just more as kind of being ignorant or stupid, if you will, right off the bat, but still capable of redemption and salvation.
I think everybody's capable of it, but when it comes to talking with people,
even rich,
I think when it comes to talking to people on the right, it's one thing to persuade a leftist to drop coercion and embrace volunteerism as far as helping the needy. It's another thing to get someone who's like a warmongering righty to drop their love for the military. That's a far more challenging thing to do. These people have been imbued with this fear-mongering about terrorism and drug dealers, and we need the police. And, a lot of them are really deep into that. And, the libertarian comes along and says, yeah, we should end war. Well, they're going to bristle against that. I mean, yeah, I guess you could say, well, you should be able to fund your own military adventurism around the world. But, how persuasive is that when they love the military? This is their favorite bureaucracy. Sure, there's for small government everywhere else, supposedly.
I think that's a good way.
Military.
I think that's a good way to go about it, though, and point out to them that they're hiding under the skirts of Uncle Sam. And how do they feel about that? And if they're so sure that
and this used to be you, right, Johnny Ray? You used to be kind of a military buff guy. You were in the military, as a matter of fact.
Right, and I never registered as a Republican, but I would have if I had registered.
I'm sorry, I did interrupt your train of thought there.
That's all right. I think I was just going to agree that
persuading Republicans
is tough because they see the world, and the world is not a pretty place, and people are going to kill you. All right, there are people who are happy to kill you. I'm pointing at you, Ian.
That's why we
kill
need the
you
government
for your stuff,
right?
And maybe you think that the world is nice and you don't need people protecting you, but damn it, you do, and you're just too stupid to realize it. But you point out to these guys that no, you're sort of the cowardly one who's demanding, who you're afraid of people, and instead of using your own wherewithal to do something about it, you're going to demand, you're going to stick your hands in my pockets and take my money because you're peeing your pants about ISIS.
You're doing the thing that you're supposed to protect me from, right? I mean, if you're protecting me from being attacked by someone, you're actually being the attacker by forcing me to fund your program of violence that's supposed to protect me. And, I'm not saying you can't persuade conservatives. You can. It's just, and somebody who's like maybe Max, who was on our phones earlier, who feels like he can identify more with a conservative, is going to be better at communicating with a conservative. He's going to be able to talk in the language of a conservative and sort of meet them at their level, especially somebody who was once there before can certainly kind of go back to that point and I think be more persuasive. So I think this comes back to what you were saying, Rich, is that everybody's got a different way of approaching this, and one person's method isn't going to be as effective as another person's, depending on who the target audience is. So it is important to know your audience when it comes to communicating these ideas. A classic example of that is the war on drugs. Depending on who you're talking to, with a leftist, you might want to talk about how you own yourself and it's your body and you should be free to do what you want with it. With a conservative, you might want to talk about how the war on drugs is a huge waste of money. and that locking these people in jail is costing a lot of money, and taking care of them on welfare as a result of et cetera, whatever, these different programs that people get on that the government offers. So you could completely approach the war on drugs, or talk about how the war on drugs increases crime. Conservatives certainly don't like violent crime, so you could talk about that. Talk more of the statistical side of things rather than the human stories that might be more motivating from an emotional side of things for a leftist.
Yeah, definitely. The other thing that I like to do when I'm arguing about specifically legalization of drugs is one of the objections that you sometimes hear, and I think it's generally lurking below the surface with conservatives, is, oh, but then those people will be all lazy and want to go on welfare. And so it's generally important when I am arguing war on drugs with conservatives to point out that I also support ending the welfare state. Yep. So it's it's not a matter of people should be able to get high and live off you. It's people should be able to get high, but they still have to take care of themselves.
I'm skeptical, just on the face of it, of convincing people of anything, but I'll hand it to you. You can plant a seed in somebody's mind.
Well, yeah, I think the person has to convince themselves. I mean, they might credit, I heard you guys talking about this on Free Talk Live, but ultimately they come to the conclusions on their own. Yeah. We might have put the ideas there for them to consider. 855-450-FREE, that's our toll-free number, 855-450-3733. You can talk persuasion or whatever you want.
Are you suffering with hearing loss? Are you sick of people constantly complaining that your TV is too loud? Are you tired of asking people to speak up? Would you like to hear more clearly, but you don't want to wear a hearing aid that makes you look old? Then you need to try Listen Clear, a life-changing breakthrough precisely designed by top audio engineers to fit your ear almost invisibly. And you can adjust Listen Clear to find the perfect way to hear everything, wherever you are and whatever you're doing. And right now you can try Listen Clear absolutely risk-free with free shipping. We'll even give you free batteries for life. So call now, 1-800-719-9349. Listen Clear is lightweight and completely hassle-free, and it's practically invisible. Call for your 100% risk-free home trial with free shipping and free batteries for life. For free information, call now, 1-800-719-9349. That's 1-800-719-9349. 1-800-719-9349.
2 little tablets is all it takes to make your thin hair feel and look thicker and fuller, guaranteed. Viviscal is the #1 drug-free hair growth supplement in the U.S., with 1 box being sold every minute globally. It's clinically researched to promote existing hair growth for men and women, and now a 90-day supply of Viviscal is offered in your area risk-free plus free shipping. Call 800-330-4028. Viviscal nourishes thinning hair from within. You'll love your hair growth results, guaranteed. Viviscal is so effective, it's recommended by top doctors. Here's Dr. Grant Stevens, board-certified plastic surgeon.
I feel confident recommending Viviscal to women with hair loss, thinning hair, or even dry or brittle hair. It's 100% drug-free, and it's backed by years of clinical research.
Want to try Viviscal? Every listener that calls now gets a 90-day risk-free supply plus free shipping. Call now, 800-330-4028. 800-330-4028. That's 800-330-4028.
I just heard the best sales pitch I've heard in a long time on an airplane. The flight attendant announced, "If you paid more than $75 for your round-trip ticket, you overpaid." This is brilliant because everybody on the flight paid more, and I was struck by how all the road warriors stopped typing and reading and working and looked up. The announcement invited us to apply for the airline's credit card, and the sign-up bonus, enough frequent flyer miles for a free round trip. Talk about turning lemons into lemonade. With some banks offering free credit cards, $75 is an outrage for an annual fee, but a bargain for airline tickets. For more tips on communicating more effectively, hit survivalspeech.com, where you can see how I got the CEO of another major airline to shower me with freebies. I'm Holland Cook.
LRN.FM is proud to announce our official listening apps for Android and iOS devices. Now you can easily tune into our streams anywhere, anytime on your smartphone or tablet. Just visit apps.lrn.fm or search for LRN.FM in the Android or Apple app stores. Please download, rate us 5 stars, then share the link on your social media, and let your friends and family know how you're listening to LRN.FM. Download it now, free at apps.lrn.fm.
This is your Robertson Roberts Brokerage Daily Precious Metals Update. In early trading Tuesday, gold is $6 lower at $1,087 per ounce. Silver is down 9 cents at $13.83 per ounce. Bitcoin is trading at $445 US. Robertson Roberts has been helping people invest in precious metals for nearly 40 years. If you want to find out more about gold and silver, give us a call today at 800-874-9760 or visit us online at rrbi.co.
If you enjoy LRN.FM, please contribute to your favorite shows via their websites and become an amplifier at amp.lrn.fm. That's amp.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live. You're invited here. Join us. Toll-free number 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. Also, Skype on in here. The Skype username is lrn.fm. So please connect in the way that works best for you and bring up whatever you darn well want, because that's why we call it Free Talk Live. As we go to the phones and to the fun, Alex is in Louisiana. You're on Free Talk Live. Hello, Alex.
Hey, yeah, I wanted to call in and talk about the Free State Project and make sure I understand the strategy and everybody understands the strategy. So basically the plan is to get, 20,000, 40,000, 50,000, whatever, X amount of people to move in, and they're going to have this culture of liberty, and, that's going to impact the local culture and government, correct?
That sounds pretty accurate. Yeah, I would say so.
There's more to it than that. I think that some folks are just coming up here, like myself. There doesn't necessarily need to be an impact on the community in order for my decision to have been the right one. Number one, because this is a more libertarian. New Hampshire is a more libertarian state than North Carolina is, in my opinion.
You're more free instantly by moving here in a lot of ways.
Yeah, and
for sure. The main criticism is, I take you guys to be pretty intelligent fellas, and I have a lot of respect for you, but I feel like there's a contradiction, particularly in the immigration debate, because if libertarians are moving as a way to change and basically descend on a geographic location to change its culture and impact its government, well, then we have to, as long as there is a state, or even without the state, we have to control immigration in some form.
You can control it on your own private property however you want.
Yeah, well, we're not talking about I'm talking about being advocates against Muslim immigration.
Yeah, I would never be an advocate against someone immigrating here because they want to come here. I mean, whatever their religion is, I think people should be free to. I think people should be free to travel.
I certainly argue against encouraging people to come here. I don't argue for stopping. Well, certainly I would love to see more libertarians come here, and that is kind of it in a nutshell. My issue, and I do have trepidation about. I would have trepidation about 20,000 Muslim refugees coming to New Hampshire for the same reason that statists have trepidation about 20,000 libertarians coming here, which is, as long as the government exists, a majority of your neighbors or a plurality of your neighbors can use it to oppress you.
Well, look, there's a couple types of immigrants, right? There are at least a couple types. There's the kind who is looking for a handout. Okay, so we know those people exist. And then there's also the entrepreneurial type who wants to come here and, make a better life for themselves. In fact, statistics show that immigrants are more likely to be entrepreneurs than American-born people. So that's the truth. And so there's a lot of fear-mongering out there about the type that's seeking welfare. So here in New Hampshire, we have liberty-minded people who are moving here. We've got them who are already elected to the state legislature. If any state has a chance of ending or reducing welfare significantly, it's New Hampshire. So eventually what you're going to see is less government programs here, probably less welfare, which would mean there would be less of an attraction for the kind of person who's looking to move for the purposes of a handout. So I think that right there.
Fear, Ian, my fear, Ian, is not that necessarily that they're coming for a handout, although that's a problem. My fear is that these people are not. They're coming from countries that are not exactly libertarian. And
your fears are not justification. I get what you're saying, but isn't there also the chance that people who want to be more free in those other countries are also likely to leave and go to a place where they believe they can be more free? And don't we want to bring those people into a place where they can be more free?
I suppose.
Your fears are not justification for creating more government. Your fears are not justification for using violence against peaceful people. Put your fears aside and try to just allow people to be free. That's what it means to be a liberty-minded person. You can still defend yourself if you're attacked, but living in fear is going to lead to the state.
Okay, well, what if there was an Islamic State project? What if there was an Islamic State project going on in some random state that you happen to be living in that said, we want to bring 20,000 or 40,000 or 100,000 Muslims into this state in order to have Sharia law. If somebody said that was his intent in moving to the United States, is we want to bring a bunch of people to the United States and use the political process to switch the United States over to running on Sharia, then at that point would you say, I don't want this person as a neighbor?
Well, first of all, that ignores what Sharia law actually is. So you would be talking about 20,000 people who don't really understand Sharia law.
Let me not use the word Sharia then.
We already have, just to go on though, we already have people, they're called lefties and righties, who are trying to shove their version of government down my throat, and I don't much care for that either, but I'm not advocating to kick them out of the United States. But further,
I'm not advocating to kick anybody out, but would you advocate to have say a million Marxists who didn't like it in Russia anymore move to the United States? I think an influx of 1 million Marxists into the United States would be a disaster.
Well, I'm not advocating for those things, Rich, but I'm not going to use violence to stop people from doing what they want to do, as long as they're doing it peacefully. And that's what somebody like Alex is talking about here, using the government to stop people from coming here, which is not a libertarian position.
Right.
Well, I mean, I can justify it a million ways to Sunday. But
there's
I feel
always
like
justification for violence.
Yeah, but I feel
usually
like in
it's
a
fear.
libertarian society, it would be done through the market, right? I don't feel like I feel like there's evidence that these Muslims, especially now that we have evidence in Europe,
these Muslims,
that they're more likely to be criminals and commit acts, and so buying defense.
I don't know what you're talking about. There are Muslims all over the United States who are not criminals. They're peaceful people.
Well, he said these Muslims, I think, referring specifically to the people who are coming out of Syria. Am I right in that?
And the folks in Cologne.
Yes, you are correct.
Okay.
So their insurance policy, basically their defense agency premiums or whatever, would go up and price them out of the market. And they wouldn't be able to freely immigrate, or they could, but they'd have no defense. And I don't think that would work out very well.
Well, in a true free market, you would only be able to travel to the places where you were welcome, right? So if people were concerned, then they wouldn't let certain people come there. They would have some sort of litmus test for who they would allow in for whatever reason. Now you're talking about a very far-off future where we actually have a free market and no public property.
But I can't achieve that tomorrow.
That's
so
right.
My advocacy for rejecting these people, and the state prevents me from discriminating against them for saying I don't want a job. So if the state's tying my hands every way to Sunday, I have no choice but then to advocate for restricting them.
No, you always have a choice. You always have the choice to not embrace violence against people, and you've embraced it by advocating the state to crack down on immigration. But let's actually bring a Muslim on the line here. His name is Will Coley, and he is from Muslims for Liberty on Skype. You're on with Alex in Louisiana. Hey, Will.
Hey, what's up, guys?
Nice to hear from you again, Will.
My comment was more to Rich's most recent comment just a second ago. Where he was asking, would you advocate for 10,000 Marxists to move to a state and attempt to, affect change and have, that whole thing? And if you took the state part out of it, then yeah, absolutely I would. I mean, it actually reminds me of a Davi Barker article that you guys read on air a few years back, where he talked about, give California to the communists. Let them have it. Give the red states to the reds and the blue states to the blues, and let the libertarians have New Hampshire and Vermont, and let Texas have Texas, and give the Conch Republic back the Conch Republic.
Hold that thought, Will. We're going to continue this here. And Alex, if you want to stand by, I'd love to bring you back on with Will to have a further conversation on this issue, because obviously it's an important one, and it seems to be one that divides libertarians, because there's libertarians who say that it's somehow libertarian to advocate that the state prevent immigration. Our toll-free number is 855-450-FREE, 855-450-3733, and you can join us here. Hour number 3 coming up on Free Talk Live. Currency is too important a thing to be left in the hands of government bureaucrats, especially when billions of dollars can be created with the swipe of a pen. Overstock.com supports the cryptocurrency movement because it returns the power of an inflation-proof form of money to the people where it belongs. Did you know that you can use Bitcoin to pay for anything Overstock.com sells while enjoying free shipping on orders of 0.211 Bitcoin or more? If you support freedom and the cryptocurrency movement, you should support Overstock.com.
You can control your health care with Liberty Health Share.
Liberty Health Share is like-minded people coming together to share medical costs, which saves money.
You don't even have to pay for procedures that violate your conscience.
Because we all share the same values.
Join the movement of people who share in medical costs and change the way you pay for your health care forever.
Go to libertyhealthshare.org to find out more.
Liberty Health Share.
Together, we're changing healthcare for good. libertyhealthshare.org.
Are you tired of your taxes funding endless occupations around the world? Antiwar.com is run by people who understand that wars abroad become wars at home, wars on our freedoms. Antiwar.com is dedicated to bringing you the latest in news, views, interviews, and reviews from the top movers and shakers in the anti-occupation movement. Antiwar.com has it all, from thorough foreign policy analysis to interviews with whistleblowers who used to run the military-industrial complex. Anti-war, pro-free market. That's antiwar.com.
The 3 most important things you can do for Free Talk Live are: 1, share 1 episode a week on Facebook or in some other social networking site. 2, buy the things you buy online through shop.freetalklive.com. 3, give $5 a month to the AMP program. You likely buy all kinds of things online. Amazon is the largest online retailer. You can get what you need at the same prices with free Super Saver shipping by going to shop.freetalklive.com. Please do your online shopping at shop.freetalklive.com.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 3 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Keene in the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Daryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Tuesday, January 12th, 2016. Silver is trading at $13.90 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,198 per ounce. And according to BitcoinAverage.com, the average price of Bitcoin is $449. Antiwar.com reports in one of the last few steps needed to fully implement their requirements under the P5+1 nuclear deal, the Iranian government has removed the core from the Arak heavy water reactor and filled it with cement, rendering it useless. The Arak reactor was the center of a lot of dispute between Iran and the international community. Objections over Iran's enrichment of uranium for the aging Tehran Research Reactor, TRR, led to the plan for Arak, which was to run on unenriched uranium as an alternative source for medical isotopes. Western nations objected to this as well, however, on the ground that the waste the reactor would produce included plutonium. Though Iran never planned to construct the substantial processing facility to extract this from the waste, and even offered to send all the waste abroad, it remained a sticking point, and ultimately it was agreed that the West would provide Iran with an alternative configuration at Arak, which would be more acceptable. Iran's Atomic Energy Agency says they believe they will have fully implemented the P5+1 deal within the next 7 days, and President Rouhani expressed hope that sanctions relief would quickly follow as the deal obliges. The Rouhani government has been scrambling to finish the deal in hopes of getting sanctions relief in place before next month's elections.
For nearly 40 years, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has been a trusted source for buying and selling precious metals like gold and silver. They also take Bitcoin for precious metal purchases and have permanently removed the minimum purchase amount for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Roberts & Roberts today for knowledgeable advice on buying and selling precious metals and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 800-874-9760 or visit online at rrbi.co.
UPI reports White House Chief of Staff Dennis McDonough said on Sunday that President Barack Obama will close the prison at Guantanamo Bay before he leaves office. Closing down Guantanamo Bay was a promise Obama made when he first took office 7 years ago. Obama has argued that the detention center has outlived its usefulness and is too costly to maintain. McDonough told Fox News, "Let me be clear, the president has said from the beginning of his administration that he will close Gitmo because it's bad for our national security and because it's too costly, $4 million per year per detainee. That's a travesty. He feels an obligation to his successor to close that, and that's why we're going to do it." McDonough said Obama will present a plan to Congress and work with Congress, and then will make some final determination. When he was asked by Fox News Sunday host Chris Wallace if Obama planned to close down the facility by using executive orders, McDonough said, "I'm not an if-when guy. I said we're going to close it. He just said he's going to present a plan to Congress to do that." Obama previously said he would wait until Congress has definitely said no to a plan to close down Guantanamo Bay before he would make any decision on executive orders.
The Daily Decrypt is a Monday through Friday newscast about all the best news in cryptocurrencies and peer-to-peer networks. Know what's hot in the world of digital money, borderless trade, and cutting-edge communications. Available on YouTube, SoundCloud, and Facebook video. The Daily Decrypt is the news of the future.
Reuters reports a Texas judge on Monday slashed the bond for a mother charged with helping her teenage son flee to Mexico while he was on probation for killing 4 people in a drunk driving crash. Lawyers for Tanya Couch said she could not afford the bail set at $1 million and argued it was excessively high for a person charged with a third-degree felony. If convicted, she faces up to 10 years in prison for the case where critics have accused the family of using its wealth to thwart justice, and the teen was derided for using a defense of affluenza. A psychiatrist testifying on his behalf at the 2013 trial in juvenile court contended his family's wealth had left him so spoiled that it impaired his judgment to tell right from wrong. On Monday, Judge Wayne Selvant cut Tanya Couch's bond to $75,000 and imposed conditions on a release on bond that include being placed on an electronic monitor, drug tested, and reporting weekly to authorities. In arguing that the bail should remain at $1 million, Tarrant County Assistant District Attorney Kevin Rousseau told reporters after the hearing there was a possibility she would run again. This has been FPP Radio News. Online at fppradio.com.
Amid the catastrophic economic crisis spurred by Tuesday's release of This Christmas, the new holiday-themed album by John Travolta and Olivia Newton-John, economic experts told reporters today the Christmas CD has quickly plunged the nation into a double-dip recession.
When investors learned that one-time screen couple John Travolta and Olivia Newton-John had reunited after 35 years for an album of timeless Christmas classics, investors had no choice but to pull money from markets immediately. We were already on shaky ground with the collapse of the U.S. subprime mortgage market and the reversal financial crisis in Europe, but consumer confidence plummeted after Americans saw the new album with a picture of Travolta and Olivia Newton-John holding cups of hot cocoa. We believe that when other countries find out the album features a Christmas song that pays tribute to summer nights, we could be looking at a global contagion. This is the blackest day on Wall Street in 2 decades.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
It's Free Talk Live. You can join us here. Toll free. 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. And you can join us online over at freetalklive.com. Get a lot of features on the site. They're all free, unlike those other talk show hosts who want to charge you for their websites. You can go and enjoy archives, the free webcam, and the entire site. It's all there, and you can actually create the content, submitting right there to the front page. So you find something that you want to share with us and other listeners, some cool news item, or even just something fun YouTube video or whatever. Submit it there through our Reddit-based system, totally free at freetalklive.com. Now, for those of you just tuning in the last hour, the very end of the last hour, Alex called in. He's still online. I'm going to bring him back on. Alex, and I'm going to also bring in Will Coley from Muslims for Liberty. Alex had called to say, oh, well, the Free State Project, here's one of the flaws. Basically, he said the Free State Project, which is the idea of gathering libertarian types, anarchists, voluntarists, whatever you want to call them, freedom-minded people, to one place, to one geographic area, to concentrate our efforts in one place, so we can achieve more liberty in our lifetime. That's what the concept is, and right now it's more than just an idea because, well, the three of us in the studio all moved here as part of the Free State Project. We're here in New Hampshire, the destination for the Free State Project. There are over 1,800 people who are here now as part of the Free State Project. There are now over 19,000 people who have signed up. The Free State Project just today hit 95% of its goal of reaching 20,000 people. But Alex says that's evidence of why immigration controls and restrictions need to be put in place, because there's scary people out there in the world who might move into somewhere in the United States, and therefore we need the government to protect us. Now, Alex, I don't want to put words in your mouth, so did I get anything wrong there? Go ahead. You're back on Free Talk Live.
Well, it's not so much that we need the state so much as we definitely don't need to have the state allocating, $1 billion towards relocating people from around the world.
Sure. Okay. I don't support welfare, but it sounded like you were supporting immigration restrictions a few moments ago.
To a degree. Yeah. I mean, I would say that I do support that to a degree.
What would you support? What do you want to see?
Well, I'd like to see a banning of immigration from like sub-Saharan Africa and the Middle East.
So basically, targeting Muslims is your idea.
Yes.
And because you're scared.
Well, because I don't feel like it's justified, especially when you see Europe and you see the chaos that's happening, and it's not.
Well, wait a minute. Aren't guns banned in Europe?
Well, yes, that's also a problem.
Right. So, when people are getting hurt over in Europe, they really can't legally defend themselves. So it would be a totally different situation in New Hampshire, where I believe you can open carry anywhere you want to, as long as it's not in someone's private business who's prohibiting that.
But
so it would be totally different here.
I guess there's really two orthogonal questions going on here. The first is, do you think it would be good if if a large number of Muslims moved into the area near you? The second question is, would you use state force to prevent that from happening? What I can say is that if I knew that there were a number of first-generation Muslims coming directly from Syria, moving into a neighborhood near me, I would experience trepidation. If I heard that there was a whole slew of libertarian Muslims who had joined the Free State Project and were moving to the area near me, I would feel no trepidation, because I know that if somebody is philosophically a libertarian, they're not going to want to impose their beliefs on me no matter what there are. But there is certainly a greater acceptance in the Middle East of imposing religion on others than there is here, and I do have a great fear of
Aren't there plenty of Christians who want to impose a theocracy here? I believe there are.
There certainly are, but they're relatively tame in that they know they're not going to get what they want. The only whereas it seems to have been different. But let's let Will talk because he's
Will
really
here.
more knowledgeable about this than I am. I want to hear his
Will's
perspective.
a Muslim. He's with Muslims.
He is a Muslim libertarian, so he would be on my definitely come here list.
Muslims for Liberty. Will, are you scared? I mean, we got Alex here. He's saying he's frightened of the Muslims from these various countries and wants to lock things down. What do you think?
Well, a lot of these Muslims that are coming here, they're coming here from countries that they're fleeing governments that are massively repressive to begin with. If you could hear some of the things that my wife believed about America, that she was shocked to find the limits on freedom that she found here. Basically, America is kind of sells itself to the world as like this libertarian utopia, basically. It's not until recently with the rise of social media and how, basically now because of social media, it's leaking out that America is really no better than any of the rest of the countries in the world.
I'd like to add to that, if I could. We have a satellite signal over Africa, sub-Saharan Africa, the exact area that Alex wants to, portion of the area that Alex wants to prohibit from coming here. We have a gentleman who has called the show on a pretty regular basis named Akko. And Akko had this exact same viewpoint that your wife did, Will. He told us on the air that he was surprised to have heard on Free Talk Live that America wasn't as free as he thought that it was. Like, we talk about police abuse and things like that on this show, and to him that was a shocking thing to hear because he's in Cameroon, Africa, and obviously the amount of news he gets from the United States is limited. He doesn't have the same perspective on it that we do, and so there is a very common viewpoint that this is some la-la land of liberty, and it's
now according to the Cato Institute, which does an annual freedom survey of different nations in the world, America is, by their obviously subjective standards, better than all but 7 of the other nations.
Oh, no, it's down into the 10 to 20 range.
Is it?
Yeah.
They were number we were number 7 last I heard.
My wife's home country has much greater economic freedom in her country. Now, they just recently now have a value-added tax. But like if you own property there, like you pay the sales tax to purchase the property. There is no concept of like you have to continuously pay the government for the right to own your property or they'll take it away from you. Or, you can build whatever you choose to. You don't need permits for like starting a small business or for building something on your own property because it's your property. That was something that my wife and my father-in-law were just completely baffled by. Like, really, if you own a house, you have to keep paying the government for permission to keep it, or they'll take it away from you. Like my father.
What country do they come from? Will?
Kenya.
From Kenya, okay.
All right.
So, Alex, your viewpoint would prevent people like Akko, who like the ideas of liberty and want to come to the United States, from coming here, and that's okay with you, huh?
Or my wife,
or
my wife's brothers and sisters.
Like it's okay. My main thing I want to ask Will is, do you think that the people who are basically the state is going to fly planes over to the Middle East, they're there, and they are flown over into the United States, and the state goes, oh well, we screen them and welcome them in. Do you think
all
that
of it
they honestly are like your wife?
I don't think.
Do you think that they are like your wife?
What my wife went through is far less rigorous of a process than what the refugee screening process is. It cost me thousands of dollars out of my own pocket in order to get her here and in order to pay for the filing fees and such as that. And I'm sure that some of the cost that's being figured is the $1,500 a pop for every time a piece of paperwork has to be filed with the immigration office. $1,500 to $650, depending on the paper. Every time. I'm sure that's being figured into this cost of bringing them here. I don't advocate that the state be involved in that, though. I think private individuals or private organizations that want to take on the effort and the expense of training, teaching English, relocating, finding jobs, that they should be able to do that without the state or other individuals attempting to get in their way.
I think that's one thing that we all will agree on here is that there shouldn't be subsidy to the process of immigration from the state. But, Alex, if you want to hang on, I think we should keep this conversation going because it's, I think, a pretty important one. We'll continue here. 855-450-FREE. You can join us as well. 855-450-3733. Free Talk Live.
Every once in a while, you get information that's worth changing your life for. This is one such time. You can save up to and beyond 25% on all purchases at Amazon. You probably heard of Bitcoin and just not thought much about it. You certainly know that you can get competitive pricing at Amazon, but now you can get a 25% discount on nearly everything you need to live. I've just given you a huge raise, and all you have to do is claim it. You go to saveitpurse.com and open an account. Do this right now. Don't wait. Then you fund the account with Bitcoin. You can buy them through expresscoin.com with a check or money order. There are other ways to get Bitcoin, but that's fast, safe, and easy. This information is worth you changing the way you do things. Go to saveitpurse.com right now, get signed up, and cash in on the huge raise I'm offering you. 15 to 25% off of everything at Amazon through saveitpurse.com. It's saveatpurse.com.
Are you tired of commuting to a job that makes someone else rich? Working harder than ever, but getting nowhere? Do you hate spending hundreds of dollars every week on daycare? Having someone else raise your children? With our opportunities, you can start earning money as soon as next week. You get to be the boss, work from home, and live a happier life. At Be the Boss Network, you'll find hundreds of work-from-home opportunities that you can literally start today and be earning money as soon as next week. Go to freedom106.com and start earning money as soon as next week. You get to be the boss. Get out of the rat race. Work from home. Go to freedom106.com right now and change your life today. That's freedom, the number 106.com. Go to freedom106.com and start earning money as soon as next week. You be the boss. Go to freedom106.com.
Free Talk Live.
Oh, if only everyone were to behave in the way I think they should behave, humanity would be better off. Again, it's just trying to impose one's vision on others. You can't be humane to others by being inhumane in the first place. And by forcing them to behave or do things that you want them to do or think in the way that you want them to think, that's inhumane. You're not respecting their choices as a free, sovereign individual. And that's what liberty is all about. You respect the rights of others to live their lives, even in self-destructive ways that you think are a bad choice, so that in turn, you have the right to live your life in any way that you choose. That's what it's all about. And as soon as you violate that, as soon as you take a step into the world of initiating force on others, then anything's game. You validated that it's okay to use force to get your way as far as changing other people's behavior.
Free Talk Live, 7 nights a week from 7 to 10 Eastern, live on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com. You can get emailed announcements and participate in contests via our email updates list. Plus, we have a Twitter account that you can follow and a Facebook page where you can become a fan. So visit news.freetalklive.com to get news about Free Talk Live as soon as it's announced and the way you want it delivered at news.freetalklive.com. That's news.freetalklive.com.
Radio is the most personal of mediums. I exist right now in your head. If you listen to Free Talk Live regularly, you know me. Free Talk Live is on more than 160 radio stations around the U.S. and has been downloaded on every continent around the world. Hundreds of thousands of listeners with ad packages from $600 a month to $6,000 a month. Imagine what we can do for your business, project, website, or idea. Email me, mark@freetalklive.com.
You can put the Liberty Radio Network on the air in your area. Visit broadcast.lrn.fm to learn how. Broadcast.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live. You can join us here. The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. Joining you in studio, you've got Ian,
Johnny Ray,
and Rich Paul.
And don't forget, you can join us online. Head on over to freetalklive.com. You want to join us in real life? Join us at the Liberty Forum. It's happening February 18th through the 21st. I predict that we will be celebrating at the Liberty Forum the completion of the Free State Project, because at this point, it's looking like it's increasing by 1% or 200 signers every 3 days now, which would mean that if it just continues at that clip, we'll be there by the end of January. So we've got plenty of time to get there by February 18th, which is the beginning of the Liberty Forum. That's happening on a weekend, starts on a Thursday. That's February 18th through the 21st. At Manchester, New Hampshire's Radisson Hotel. It's a great hotel, great venue for this event. It's actually the biggest convention space in all of New Hampshire. So come on out and join us. The Liberty Forum is really a great event because you get to meet your future neighbors. You get to meet people who you're going to be living around. Hundreds and soon to be thousands of liberty-minded people all in the same area. In the conference, you'll meet a few hundred of them. There's usually like 500 to 800 people that attend. There are way more people that are here, but most of the attendees at the Free State Project's Liberty Forum are people like you who aren't necessarily in New Hampshire, unless you are in New Hampshire, in which case you should attend as well, because it's a great event. NHLibertyForum.com. Go there and get registered. Get your hotel room locked in now. By the way, I think there's a Liberty Forum group on Facebook. So if you're looking to do room sharing and save a little bit of money on your hotel room, that's a good way to do it. There's always somebody who's looking for a room. You don't have to know the person, because usually people are pretty cool the first time you meet them here in this movement. So you can save some money that way. Go to NHLibertyForum.com. Oh, by the way, Edward Snowden is set to be the keynote speaker, one of the keynote speakers at the Liberty Forum. So that's a huge deal, and we'll look forward to seeing you there February 18th through the 21st. We lost Alex there a moment ago, but he just got back on the line. Technical difficulties. He got disconnected. So Alex is back in Louisiana. Will Coley still on the line with us on Skype from Tennessee. And let's see, we left off basically Alex's viewpoint is that the idea of certain immigration here is scary, so we need the government to protect us. We pointed out that prohibiting immigration from sub-Saharan Africa and the Middle East would also prohibit people from coming here who want to make a better life for themselves, who might actually be pretty liberty-minded, or who want to be more free. And Alex, you're willing to just throw that baby out with the bathwater, right?
Yes, I would agree. I really wanted
that
to
wasn't a
ask
loaded
Will.
question at all, Ian.
Well, he's advocating for immigration restrictions to prevent people from coming here from those places, and it's based on fear. That's purely what this is based on, and that's what the state feeds on. So that you could call yourself a libertarian and advocate for these kinds of state controls is, I think, really sad.
Well, let's let him tell us.
In an anarcho-capitalist society, I do not believe that you would have mass Muslim immigration into the West. I honestly don't believe that. I honestly think that there would be, and that would fundamentally different argument that we would be having based on now. Now, what I wanted to feel
that doesn't
was
fit
that
with
he
history.
honestly believed most of these people that would come here are like his wife, and I genuinely believe his wife would be a very fine lady, open to liberty, and
We're losing you. Unfortunately, you're on a really bad cell phone
fellow.
connection, so I can see why you got disconnected. Alex, thanks for the call tonight. I do appreciate it.
I think he was saying that he's okay with that in an anarcho-capitalistic future, he's fine with having open borders, but he's talking about the here and now.
But until then, we need the government to crack down. And this is the argument that Christopher Cantwell makes, by the way. I talked with him extensively today. We traveled together in Concord, and so we had a lot of time in the car, and I got to really kind of feel out where he was coming from these days. This is basically the Cantwell argument. It's also Trump's argument. Donald Trump is saying, well, we could talk about immigration in the future, but for right now, we need to lock down the borders. And then, maybe into the future that could change once we get our house in order. Once we get our S together here in the United States, then we can allow people to come in here. That's essentially the viewpoint. And when has it been that the government has reduced its size once it's gotten its S together? Because the government doesn't get it together. They just keep screwing it up over and over again, no matter what the program is. So the idea that somebody who claims to be a libertarian or an anarcho-capitalist or a voluntarist is saying, well, Yeah, I can see a future with, freedom to immigrate in a truly free society. But until we get to that truly free society, we're going to need a police state to keep these immigrants out. It's ridiculous.
Okay, well, what I'm going to do is I've got a new blanket immigration policy that I'm going to advocate for from now on. And I believe it's correct based on libertarian principles, which is I believe that all libertarians should be permitted to travel to the United States and to New Hampshire freely from wherever they are in the world, no matter what color they are or no matter what religion they are. But because anybody who is not a libertarian, by definition, wants to initiate force against me through government, and since if they have a government at their disposal, as they will if they come here, I would like to have all non-libertarians excluded from coming to the United States. And my basis for that is I know that any non-libertarian who comes to the United States wants to impose force against me through government. So I want to defend myself by keeping them out of the country until they agree to be peaceful.
How are you going to do that? Through the government?
Well,
Doesn't
I'm
that make
not
you a hypocrite?
going to do it through the government, but I'm not going to object that loudly if the government chooses to do it itself.
So you wouldn't have a problem with the government building a wall?
I won't say that I wouldn't have a problem about it. It wouldn't be the biggest thing about government that I had a problem with. So I would probably say, well, why don't you go disband yourself, government?
Sure.
But well,
it doesn't sound like you're embracing.
But they have to let peaceful people cross borders freely. So anybody who's a libertarian or a pacifist, either one, because a pacifist can't use force against you, then if they're willing to say I will come here and I will not try to use additional force against Rich Paul, then I'm all for them being here.
Will Coley, in Muslims for Liberty, your thoughts further on the idea of libertarians advocating for state control of immigration?
The position that Alex took, actually, I wanted to point out, actually isn't historically accurate. His idea that in an ANCAP society you wouldn't have what he specified as mass Muslim immigration. But history it shows, or at least genetics shows, that there have been these times of mass immigration, even across great expanses of both land and sea. There are genetic precursors in South America, in Brazil, in the area of Brazil, for Semitic Jews, showing that during the Inquisition, some Jews basically left Europe fleeing and ended up in South America, boats full of Jews. That's of mass immigration. At that time, 300 or 400 people would be seen in the same context as thousands would in the modern country.
855-450-FREE, that's our toll-free number. This is Free Talk Live.
Removing bad taste and odor from your drinking water is easy. Removing the bad stuff you don't taste is what ProPure does best. Water the way nature meant it to be. Clean, crisp, and refreshing. See the complete line of ProPure countertop, inline, gravity, and household water filtration products. Visit your authorized ProPure dealer or ProPureUSA.com. That's ProPureUSA.com. Or call 800-544-3533.
So you've got to take a state construction license exam or certification. Can't decide on what books or what chapters to study? Discover right now how you can eliminate unnecessary books and wasted study time. At contractorexam.com, our study materials zero in on state-required test topics in an effective, multiple-choice format. So whether you're a plumber, electrician, general contractor, or other construction-related trade, contractorexam.com will help get you prepared. Visit us at www.contractorexam.com today.
I've been told no in many different ways.
I give you an order and you're going to obey it.
George, you can go this way. You can't do that and you have to leave here.
You cannot bring Pfizer to their rally.
Walk with me.
Well, I'm comfortable here, actually.
Whoa. Hey, who do you think
Excuse me.
There is no video and audio allowed in this office.
No, I have work today. This is.
You ain't gonna make it.
Wait a minute.
Holy crap.
Hey! Oh my God! Unbelievable! Why are you running from me? Because you scared me. What am I being detained for?
You're being served.
What is this?
You're being served.
What is this? Bureaucrats have a funny way of telling people no.
That's the sound of the men working on the chain.
Derek J's Victimless Crime Spree. Watch it for free and order the Director's Cut DVD at victimlesscrimespree.com.
If there was a place that liberty-minded people had been elected to political positions and were rolling back government, would you move there? If freedom lovers had secured a 20% voting bloc and can veto most bad bills, would you move? Well, the time has come to sign the pledge at freestateproject.org. These things have happened in New Hampshire, and you can join us and help. freestateproject.org. Sign up now at freestateproject.org. Here's a chance to do a little activism while you're cruising Facebook, Twitter, or Google+. Between the LOL cats, the recipes, the hot girls, and the inspirational sunrise memes, Free Talk Live's posts pass by your newsfeed. Like them, comment. It gives us more exposure. If you don't see our posts, click like at facebook.freetalklive.com and then hover over it to click Get Notifications. It's an easy way to spread the ideas of liberty a bit further. I know you're busy, but you can spare that tenth of a calorie it takes to click on something. facebook.freetalklive.com.
If you are successful at what you do, whether you're a doctor, a lawyer, a business owner, or you have a great career, you understand the concept of protecting yourself. Well, are you protecting yourself, your family, and your assets with quality term life insurance? Consider these possible rates. A man age 45 non-tobacco user could obtain $1 million of coverage for as little as $75 a month. And this rate is fixed for the next 10 years. We specialize in policies of $500,000 and above. A man age 50 non-tobacco user may be able to obtain $500,000 of coverage for as little as $115 a month. And this rate is fixed for the next 20 years. We have great rates for smokers too. Call the Term Lifeline now. 800-872-0403, 800-872-0403, 800-872-0403.
You can connect with the Liberty Radio Network via our Facebook page at facebook.lrn.fm. That's facebook.lrn.fm.
Free Talk Live. Join us on the radio waves here, 855-450-FREE. 855-450-3733. You want to save some money on your next purchase at Amazon, just go to saveatpurse.com. That's saveatpurse.com. You can save 20% easily on virtually anything there. And if you want to save more than 20%, you can do that too. You just have to be willing to wait a little bit longer. The higher the percentage you select to get discounted, then the longer it might take to fulfill your order. But so far, I've had really good luck getting 30% off on pretty much whatever I want to get 30% off on. Sometimes I'll have to drop it to 25%, but I've gotten as much as 45% off as well. So you never know. You got to try it to see what you can do.
What's it called again?
SaveAtPurse.com. SaveAtPurse.com. And that requirement, though, to get these deals is you have to use Bitcoin. That's the catch. That's how you get the big savings through Amazon. SaveAtPurse.com. SaveAtPurse.com. We go back to the phones, to the fun. I've actually kept Will Coley on the line here since we do have a number of other people who want to call in and talk about immigration. And given that there's a lot of sort of anti-Muslim sentiment out there in the United States these days, it's always good to have a Muslim, an actual Muslim with us here on the show.
And a libertarian Muslim. He would
Yes.
make it through my sieve.
So let's go to the phones here. Tyler is in California. You're on Free Talk Live. Hello, Tyler.
Hey, what's going on, guys?
Hey, what's on your mind tonight?
Hey, so I'm listening to you guys talk about immigration, and I'm all for open borders. Like, I believe that you should be able to travel wherever you want or live wherever you want. Private property, right?
Okay.
Well, here's where I think it gets kind of muddled, and I think Ridge Paul touched on it a little while ago, but like with the Free State Project, let's say it's 10 years from now, and the Free State Project is moving along, and laws are getting changed in New Hampshire, right, and the state's starting to get deregulated. Well, what's to stop some other interest group from coming in and changing everything? Because, everybody is attracted to liberty, whether you're a libertarian or not, but that doesn't mean they
No, not everyone is attracted to liberty. There's plenty of people who love the idea of controlling others. And Rich was actually just talking about this a few moments ago. He was saying that, what if there's this other counter project that moves here? And my argument against that is, first of all, they're against. We've got more than a decade here of Free Staters moving to New Hampshire and gaining traction here. So they would be working against that, and they'd have to start from zero basically to push back against us. And why do all that work when you have plenty of state everywhere else? I mean, they don't have the same motivation. They're leaving New Hampshire. There are people here. Sorry to interrupt, Rich, but there are examples of prominent statists who were here, who were very loud opponents to the Free State Project. I can think of two of them specifically in just this area. One of them named Pam Martins, who wrote pieces for Counterpunch, which is a relatively well-known website, excoriating the Free State Project, conspiratalizing about how the Koch brothers are funding everything, and she wrote these just horrible attack pieces against us. She moved out of New Hampshire, and she is gone. The guy who was the cup incident guy here in Keene, who assaulted Sam Dodson with his coffee cup. This was an incident that happened several years ago here.
Yeah, he was a coffee shop owner.
He cupped his cheek.
He was an actual coffee shop owner of a downtown coffee shop here in Keene. He's gone. He's now living in Los Angeles. So the statists are likely to leave New Hampshire when they realize they are losing ground over time, rather than gather some sort of anti-Free State Project together. Once again, we're talking about fear-mongering about what might happen. But go ahead, Tyler.
Tyler, well, before you do, Tyler, I want to say that I think that your fears are real. They're genuine, and I think that people should eschew democracy for the most part. I'll say coerced democracy. Ian likes to go up to Concord like he did today and participate in the democratic process.
I don't really like it, Johnny Ray. I just feel like I should.
Okay, all right.
Okay.
So I mean, I'm kind of with you there. I prefer.
You're scared, Johnny Ray? Is that what you're saying?
I'm scared.
Scared of the statists coming and invading New Hampshire.
I'm scared of.
I'm scared of statists, man. They scare me. Sometimes they make my skin crawl.
All right, Tyler.
So okay. Well, right. So the thing is it's not a fear of foreigners. It's not a fear of immigrants. I don't understand why people are afraid of Muslims. It doesn't make any sense to me. But what I'm afraid of is the current system we have always leads to tyranny by majority. So, I mean, say you do all the work as the Free Staters, or we do when I moved there. We do all the work as the Free Staters, and we get, this is just a hypothetical, but we get marriage deregulated. And then, all these polygamists move in, and then they want to set up a theocracy, right? Or something like that. There's always... And unless you can create your own state right off the bat, which is going to be stateless, like a stateless society, or you can create a minarchist society with a very restricted constitution, you're going to have the current system set up, which is going to allow other people to change it. Because, there's nothing stopping a bunch of, right-wing religious nuts from Texas moving in and saying, oh, we love your guys' idea of freedom, economically, but we want to make it so, the Ten Commandments are law and blah, 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 and just, and take the work that we've already done and move it in their own direction.
The short answer to your question, and the only answer I can give you to what's to stop various groups of statists from moving in here and taking over, the only answer I have is we will fight them on the oceans, we will fight them on the beaches, and we will never surrender on the political front.
Come on, let's get realistic here, Tyler. Do you realize how difficult it's been to recruit 20,000 people to just sign a statement saying they will move to New Hampshire, let alone actually move to New Hampshire? It's taken 15 years for this project to come to completion, and it's been a grueling process the entire way, and there's no way we're going to get all 20,000 to make the move here. So what is more likely than what you're saying is that there would be people within the communities who would activate against us, people within New Hampshire who would activate against us. And we've seen some of that. But over time, all of the haters who've popped up, most of them have gone away. And the more recent group, of course, has been called Stop Free Keene here in the Keene area. But out in Portsmouth, they've had some cabbies that have been attacking some of the liberty activists there. But my point being that the haters are like a flash in the pan. Usually, they burn bright for a moment, they get all angry, and then they got to go back to work. So they got to go and take care of their family or whatever, and they just don't. They don't last. They just don't. Mm-hmm. So it would be easier in theory for even people who are locally to mobilize against us, but we see very little of it. Very, very little of that. The people in New Hampshire are really freedom friendly generally as a native people. They're people who, as we discussed last night, understand the ideas of economics as a native people, more so than in any other state. So why would someone want to go and run against the grain like that? It's hard enough to find libertarians. That's what we're doing, right? We're running against the grain here to create a society that's better. But why would they do that when things are already the way they want them elsewhere?
And I'll tell you something that I would like to see. I would like to see other blank state projects going on, or blank territory projects, political migrations where groups pick an area and say, okay, there's enough of us to actually have a society, and we want to do it our way. So let's come in peacefully, buy up a whole hunk of land, and do it our way there. I would love to see libertarian socialists and anarcho-socialists moving into Vermont, and saying, hey, we don't like the way the ANCAPs and the American libertarians are doing it over there, but we'd like to do something similar and try it our way. I think that would be a great thing, and there are things that we could work together on. Secession. If at first you don't secede, try again.
Yeah, I'd like to add that there is a part of this conversation. There's been some language that I've often heard related to the Free State Project, and I've always taken issue with it, and it's about how the Free Staters are going to come in and change things. Alex kicked it off, changing the culture and so forth. I have no interest in that, and I don't think that we need to do that. I think we can come in and achieve our goals, and if all the native people who live here want to continue living under the state of New Hampshire, they can do that, and we can live our free life and coexist peacefully.
Well, the fact is we can't change the state with 20,000 people. We have to influence people to come more closer to the ideas of liberty. Hey, thanks, Tyler. We'll look forward to seeing you in New Hampshire. As a pioneer of the e-commerce movement, Overstock.com is proud to be the first major retailer to accept Bitcoin. Overstock was the first because Patrick Byrne, Overstock's CEO and founder, firmly believes in personal freedom and cryptocurrency. Over the past 16 years, Overstock has furnished over 18 million homes with a diverse line of products to suit everyone's unique styles and preferences. Support Overstock and freedom of choice while enjoying free shipping on orders of 0.211 Bitcoin or more. Free Talk Live has partnered with Amazon, the largest internet retailer. Imagine a department store category, and Amazon has it. Books, electronics, office products, furniture, jewelry, automotive, toys, clothing, sporting goods, and dozens of other categories. Now you can shop and support Free Talk Live by entering Amazon through our website. Go to shop.freetalklive.com, and Amazon will send us a portion of your purchase. You're going to do the shopping anyway, so remember to enter through our site at shop.freetalklive.com. That's shop.freetalklive.com.
You're fired. According to the Small Business Administration, 75% of small businesses plan to eliminate jobs or reduce workers' hours to part-time. You're fired. According to Gallup, the unemployment rate recently jumped to nearly 9%, and the underemployment rate hit a staggering 17.9%. You're fired. 1 out of 3 young adults and 1 out of 2 recent college graduates are underemployed. Hello, I'm Keith Abel, a pharmacist and a home business entrepreneur. In 2011, I became one of those statistics myself. Instead of looking for another job in corporate America, I joined Dr. Joel Wallet, the Dead Doctors Don't Lie guy. We're creating steady incomes for ourselves and would like to show you how to do the same. If you want to supplement your current income, replace your income, so you don't have to become one of the statistics, then give me a call toll-free at 866-257-3105, 866-257-3105. You're fired. Don't wait till you hear those words. Start creating an extra income today. 866-257-3105.
Free Press Publications is an independent, alternative media and publishing company founded in June 2009 with the mission of ensuring a free press for the freedom movement and is committed to spreading the message of peace, freedom, love, and liberty. FPP also gives new authors an avenue for publishing freedom-oriented material. FPP brings you daily news and commentary on the website fpp.cc, as well as a daily 5-minute newscast, FPP Radio News, and weekly news, views, and commentary in the FPP Freedom Minute and Peace, Love, Liberty Radio at fppradio.com, and the monthly newspaper FPP News at news.fpp.cc. Find FPP online at fpp.cc. That's fpp.cc, as in Creative Commons.
So you've heard all 3 hours of the latest episode of Free Talk Live, and you're still hungry for liberty-oriented audio content? Did you know that we have another 24/7 audio stream at LRN.FM? The Liberty Radio Network airs the latest episodes of some of the best liberty-oriented podcasts on the internet around the clock. In addition to recorded content, you'll also hear live shows like Free Talk Live, originating from our Keene, New Hampshire studio. So listen anytime at LRN.FM. That's LRN.FM.
This Your Family Today tip is brought to you by Boost Kid Essentials Nutritionally Complete Drink, providing your picky eater with essential nutrition and great taste in one drink. Visit us at kidessentials.com. To make sure your kids eat healthy, follow the 5-a-day plan. Serve 3 servings of vegetables and 2 servings of fruit daily. Remember, a serving could just mean a piece of fruit or a half cup of veggies. If your kids are picky eaters, ask a nutritionist about other sources. For more tips like these, visit us at parenthood.com/yourfamilytoday.
While our satellite channel is free to listen to, it's not free for us. You can help us cover our satellite costs with the chip-in on the right side of the page at lrn.fm.
Free Talk Live, and you can join us here. The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. We've got Skype as well. Skype username is lrn.fm. With you tonight, you've got Ian,
Johnny Ray,
and Rich Paul.
Back to the phones and your calls and thoughts. Will Coley is also still on the line with us here. I wasn't sure if our next callers were going to be talking about Muslim immigration or not. They all do want to talk about immigration. So just in case we need an actual Muslim with us, he's been willing to hang out with us. So appreciate that, Will. Let's continue here, though. We've got Tim in Wyoming. Tim, you're on Free Talk Live. Go ahead.
Hi, gentlemen. Thanks for taking my call.
Yes,
I appreciate the show tonight. Now, what I was calling to comment about was the fact that, unless I'm mistaken, you believe that libertarianism says that borders should be fluid or non-existent, and for borders to be fluid or non-existent, it essentially means that you have no country. I mean, a lot of countries in the world have tried to have completely open immigration, and look what's happened to them. I mean, this is what's happened. And you talked earlier about Germany and Sweden. Unless I'm mistaken, I think I heard somebody say Germany and Sweden and various other European countries where open immigration has just basically ruined the culture of those countries. Those people were allowed in, and they're destroying the country from the inside. They're being allowed to destroy the country because that's what that the design was in the first place for the border elimination. If we have the same thing happen here, I mean, the freedoms and rights, and I mean, everybody in the world has the same rights and freedoms. We all have the right to think for ourselves. We all have the right to speak for ourselves. We all have the right to defend ourselves.
You might say they're given to us by God. Ian wouldn't say it, but you might. I said you might say that God's rights are given to us by God. They're not given to us by governments or constitutions.
Okay,
Church of the Invisible Hand would say nature.
Well, as the Declaration of Independence says, the rights are self-evident. We have those rights. They're self-evident. We know that even a small child, a baby being aborted, will seek to defend itself against the scalpel that is going to end its life. It pushes the scalpel away. It is trying to save itself. It is trying to speak for itself in the only way it knows how, which is with physical action. Now, when we have the elimination of borders by government officials or by fiat or by dictatorial decision, dictatorial action, then we have no country. We have no freedoms to protect. If our First and Second Amendment, I heard the mention of the entire Bill of Rights being protected. Now, the First and Second Amendment, yes, of course, we don't have the Second Amendment without the First, and we don't have the First without the Second. So they work hand in hand with one another. When we give up our borders, we've given up.
They're
our
not
right
my
of free
borders.
speech.
Look, I get where you're coming from, but I have no love for the country as a concept. I do love the idea of freedom. And in order to do what you're saying, which would be to enforce the border, you cannot have freedom, sir. You have to have a police state. Is that what you want?
I'm not saying that a police state is necessary. What I'm saying...
How are you going to enforce the border? Magic?
Okay. The border, the border is an idea. It's also an idea that, people come to...
It's a dumb idea that separates people from one another around the globe.
Well, so do languages. So do incessant...
Yes, but over time, languages are becoming less of a barrier due to technology. It's relatively easy to translate things these days. But I'm not saying you can't have a border on your own private property. I believe in property rights, and you should be able to do whatever it is that you want there. But if I want to bring someone onto my private property from halfway across the world, why shouldn't I be free to do that, sir?
You can do that. That's not part of what I'm saying.
Oh.
I'm saying that a country, an actual nation. There are nations of the world.
No, that's just an idea, just like your border.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah.
I said that French people call themselves French, Germans call themselves Germans, Swedish call themselves Swedes. We used to call ourselves Americans. I still do call myself.
I'm just a human being.
I believe in that as well. I'm a human being who also resides on this particular geographic area, which we've decided
I did not make those decisions.
The general consensus before either one of us was born that this would be a country. This would be a region that was different from other regions of the world because of certain restrictions, because of certain rules, because of certain allowances, because of certain beliefs. And
well, actually, it used to be that anybody could come here who wanted to come here. So long as they could get here, they could be here, and nobody would tell them otherwise. And everything was okay with that.
There's another thing about that too. When they used to come here, when people came here up until the end of World War I, maybe just after that, but they used to have to say they were no longer loyal to the country, region, state, whatever geographical area they came from. They had to say they were no longer holding allegiance to that area, and they were now holding allegiance to this region. If you don't want to call it a country.
Yeah, I would assume they still have to do that.
Say again, Will.
No, there's no loyalty oath now. I mean, people have to understand. This is a country. Okay, you're not saying that you don't believe that this country should have borders. You don't believe.
Will, can you expand though on what you're saying? Are you saying they still have to do that?
Yeah. My wife's going through it right now. My wife's brother, both of her brothers, as well as her sister, have all had to go through exactly what he's talking about. When my wife's sister moved to UK and got her citizenship in the UK when she got married to her husband.
You're talking about a citizenship oath.
Swear allegiance. Well, that's what happens when refugees come here. The refugee process is they eventually
do refugees automatically be? Really, I didn't know that citizenship was necessarily the end game there. But well, yeah, it does make sense.
Yeah, my understanding is most of the refugees that I know personally are now citizens here. They started out their life as refugees, either political refugees or refugees of like war-torn areas like Somalia or Syria during the early 80s and the late 70s. They came here, they became business owners, had families, but when they came here, they had to take the oath. It's almost exactly the same oath that you take when you join the military even. So, I mean, these are people that they have to give an oath that they will abide by the laws and the Constitution, and that they are no longer in allegiance to any foreign nation, and that they won't attempt to undermine the United States of America or its government.
Tim, thank you for your call tonight. I do appreciate hearing from you. I want to get Jay on the line, who's been waiting patiently in North Carolina. Jay, you're on Free Talk Live. Hello there.
Hey, what's going on?
We're doing a radio show.
Well, it's ultimately a cost-benefit analysis for me, right? I mean, we all agree that in the absence of the state, in a genuine free market, this problem disappears, right, as property rights are enforced. But in the positive reality, right, in the status paradigm, we're essentially left with two choices. And those choices are either we use the state or advocate use of state to restrict latecomers, or we advocate immigration, which is subsidized by state. Now, the omnibus bill just allocated $1.6 billion to facilitate immigration. Now, I mean, that's me being robbed, that's my neighbors being robbed, that's my family being robbed to facilitate immigration. So, I mean, what's more in my interest, right? To keep people, advocate use of state to keep people out, or advocate state facilitating immigration.
Well, it's a false choice. You can advocate the state do nothing and the state go away. You don't have to choose to side with the state in either case.
Well, not only that, but the amount of waste that goes on in the immigration system here. When we went for my wife to have her fingerprints done, we went to a building the size of a super Walmart that had a security guard and 2 employees, and that was all of that building, air conditioning, room, electricity, all that space in downtown Atlanta, high property values for 2 employees.
What is being stored there? What is in this building?
Nothing. It's a big empty building with 2 employees with like a steel case setup that looks like an office building over in a corner. And that's it, with some fingerprint equipment.
And even if you did have to make that choice that you're describing, Jay, only one of those choices creates a police state. And I don't know about you, but I don't want to live in a police state. Thank you for the call tonight. I appreciate it. We're out of time, unfortunately. If you didn't get on, then just call us tomorrow night. We got plenty more time for you at that time. And it has been Ian here in the studio tonight.
Johnny Ray.
And Rich Paul.
Hey, Will Coley from Muslims for Liberty. That's Muslims4Liberty.org. You've got a new radio show called Called to Freedom, and it is airing on LRN.FM on Sunday nights at 10 p.m. Eastern Time for anyone who wants to check that out. Thanks for being on with us. It's Free Talk Live. On Free Talk Live, we're bringing people to the ideas of liberty every day. From wrestling superstars like Glenn Jacobs.
You guys really are having an impact, I believe. Like I said, a lot of where I am now is due to listening to Free Talk Live. You changed my mind on some very important issues years ago.
To random people tuning in on the radio.
I was kind of stuck in the left-right paradigm. I heard your show by chance on a Saturday night. From there, I went on, joined the Free State Project, and become an amplifier. So, I mean, that's really the reason why I amp is because I know that if it wasn't for you guys being on as many stations as you are, I never would have found the ideas of liberty.
Your amp will directly change more lives by getting Free Talk Live in front of people looking for talk radio online and on the air. When you amp Free Talk Live, you get perks like access to the AMP-only Facebook group and AMP podcast. Visit amp.freetalklive.com.
This is your Robertson Roberts Brokerage Daily Precious Metals Update. In early trading Tuesday, gold is $6 lower at $1,087 per ounce. Silver is down 9 cents at $13.83 per ounce. Bitcoin is trading at $445 US. Robertson Roberts has been helping people invest in precious metals for nearly 40 years. If you wanted to find out more about gold and silver, give us a call today at 800-874-9760 or visit us online at rrbi.co.
LRN.FM is proud to announce our official listening apps for Android and iOS devices. Now you can easily tune into our streams anywhere, anytime on your smartphone or tablet. Just visit apps.lrn.fm or search for LRN.FM in the Android or Apple app stores. Please download, rate us 5 stars, then share the link on your social media and let your friends and family know how you're listening to LRN.FM. Download it now, free, at apps.lrn.fm.
Rebel Love Show is next, live after the news, here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Keene in the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Darrell W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Tuesday, January 12th, 2016. Silver is trading at $13.90 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,198 per ounce. And according to BitcoinAverage.com, the average price of Bitcoin is $449. Antiwar.com reports in one of the last few steps needed to fully implement their requirements under the P5+1 nuclear deal, the Iranian government has removed the core from the Arak heavy water reactor and filled it with cement, rendering it useless. The Arak reactor was the center of a lot of dispute between Iran and the international community. Objections over Iran's enrichment of uranium for the aging Tehran Research Reactor, TRR, led to the plan for Arak, which was to run on unenriched uranium as an alternative source